the Abbasid Caliphate, a name that once commanded respect and awe across 3 continents. From the dusty plains of Spain to the borders of India, the Abbasid banner flew high, a symbol of unity and Islamic power. Yet, like all empires, the Abbasids faced their twilight. It is in these fading days that our story unfolds, a story of a man thrust into an impossible situation, a man who would come to be known as Caliph Abdullah Al-Mustakfi Billah. Born into the tumultuous world of the late Abbasid court, Abdullah could not have known the destiny that awaited him. His early life remains shrouded in the mists of time, his name whispered only in the grand libraries of Baghdad, preserved in crumbling manuscripts. Yet fate, it seemed, had a role for him to play, a role that would test his courage and his very soul. By the 10th century AD, the once mighty Abbasid Caliphate was a shadow of its former self. Powerful governors and warlords carved out their own domains, paying lip service to the Caliph in Baghdad, but ruling in all but name. The Caliph himself was often a puppet, controlled by whichever faction held sway in the capital. It was in this climate of intrigue and uncertainty that Abdullah came of age. Though a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad and heir to a legacy of piety and learning, he found himself sidelined, a pawn in the deadly games played by the powerful. Yet even in the shadows, Abdullah observed, he learned and he waited. His time, he knew, would come. The year 944 AD saw the Abbasid Caliphate plunge further into chaos. The reigning Caliph, Al-Muttaqi, had attempted to assert his authority, to break free from the control of the Turkish generals who held him hostage. His rebellion was short-lived. Deposed and blinded, Al-Muttaqi became a tragic symbol of the Caliphate's weakness. Into this power vacuum stepped a new strongman, a Turkish general named Tuzun. Ambitious and ruthless, Tuzun sought to control the Caliphate from behind the scenes. He needed a figurehead, a caliph in name only, someone he could manipulate. His choice fell upon the quiet, unassuming Abdullah. In 946 AD, Abdullah, a man who had lived his life in the background, was thrust onto the center stage of history. Given the title Al-Mustakfi Billah, he who seeks sufficiency in God, Abdullah faced a daunting task. The treasury was empty, the army fractured, and the very unity of the caliphate was unraveling. Yet Abdullah was not without courage. He understood the weight of the legacy he had inherited, the responsibility he bore to his people and to his faith. He would be no puppet ruler. He would strive to restore the dignity of the caliphate, to bring peace and justice to his people, even if it meant confronting the very man who had placed him on the throne. Section 5. The Caliph's Dilemma. Abdullah's reign was a constant balancing act, a desperate struggle for survival. On one hand, he had to appease Tuzun, the power behind the throne. On the other, he yearned to break free from the general's control, to rule in his own right. It was a dangerous game, one that required all of Abdullah's cunning and diplomacy. He began by focusing on what little he could control. He patronized scholars, seeking to revive the intellectual vibrancy that had once been the hallmark of the Abbasid court. He reformed the judiciary, striving to ensure that justice, however elusive, would be served. And he never, even in his darkest hours, lost sight of his faith, finding solace and strength in prayer. Section 6. A difficult peace. In 946 AD, Tuzun died, leaving a power vacuum in his wake. This was Abdullah's opportunity. He moved swiftly, consolidating his authority and appointing loyal officials to key positions. For a brief time it seemed as if the caliphate might yet be salvaged, but the peace was not to last. New rivals emerged, eager to seize control of the weakened caliphate. The Buyids, a powerful dynasty from the mountains of Persia, swept across the land, their armies unstoppable. Section 7. Internal struggles. In 945 AD, the Buyids captured Baghdad, effectively ending the political independence of the Abbasid Caliphate. Abdullah, though allowed to remain as caliph, was now a figurehead, a prisoner in his own palace. His authority was limited to religious matters, his political power utterly gone. Yet, even in defeat, Abdullah refused to give up hope. He continued to serve as a beacon of faith and tradition, a symbol of the glorious past to which many still clung. He judged according to Islamic law, offered counsel to those who sought it, and dedicated himself to prayer and study. Section 8, a legacy overshadowed. Abdullah al-Mustakfi. Billah died in 946 AD after a tumultuous 6-year reign. His caliphate, bookended by the reigns of powerful warlords, is often overlooked by history. Yet Abdullah's story is not one of despair but of quiet resilience. He was a man who, faced with impossible odds, never abandoned his principles. He strove to uphold justice, to serve his people, and to honor his faith. Though he could not halt the decline of the Abbasid Caliphate, he embodied the true spirit of Islamic leadership, a spirit that transcended the vagaries of political power. Section 9, conclusion. Remembering al-Mustakfi, the life of Abdullah al-Mustakfi Billah, offers a powerful lesson for our own times. It reminds us that true leadership is not about wielding absolute power, but about serving a greater good, about holding fast to one's values even in the face of adversity. It is a story of faith, of resilience, and of the enduring power of the human spirit. Though his caliphate was brief and his political power limited, Abdullah al-Mustakfi Billah left an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of his people. He is remembered not as a conqueror or a king, but as a man of God, a scholar, and a true caliph of Islam.